So I'm just going to start talking at the moment because I haven't filmed anything in a long while when it comes to book reviews. Sorry about that, but I moved house. A few things have happened. I moved house and I made a whole new setup. So things have happened, things have progressed. So anyway, I finally read Tale of the Body Thief by Anne Rice, and I've been wanting to read all of her Vampire Chronicles again. I had a goal to read them all this year, 2023 anyway, and it's August when I'm filming this, and I'm on book 4. So we'll see if I actually get them done by December. I might not, which is fine. I mean, if it's in 2024, who cares? But this one, Tales of the Body Thief, was fun, and Lestat's a bit of an idiot. Like, we love him for it. We know he's like a little bit dumb. He's a bit of a vampire himbo, but like he is clever in his own way. He usually has like vampire street smarts, but it doesn't shine here. And there are elements here where I'm definitely like mad at him that I will call him out on. But overall, this was a great time. If you hear, quick note, if you hear meowing over my voices, I'm sorry. I have 3 cats. One is my sister. She's staying here. That's Alice. And she gets talkative when I start talking. Yeah. Also, quick notes, this review will be a little spoilery. I'll be vague about certain things, but it will overall be spoilery just because I just want to talk and rant about the story. So yeah, stuff is gonna spill out. Anyway, getting into the actual review, it definitely feels like Anne Rice just wanted to have fun. She just wanted to have fun and experiment with this story, because the previous books, the first 3, Interview with the Vampire, Vampire Lestat, and Queen of the Damned, those were like the heavy hitters of like exploring her grief and just experimenting with vampiric lore and kind of letting Lestat find his footing, while also kind of fucking up in some moments too. But with this one, her writing is still perfect. Her writing is still just those beautiful purple prose that are just absolutely gorgeous and paint the scene. Even when there are moments when Lestat can't quite see, I'll get to that in a second. But it seemed like she was just kind of having fun tormenting her characters here for a little bit in this like urban fantasy setting. So I'd say the main premise, the main quick little plot summary is Lestat wanted to screw around and find out, and he found out some things. Because the actual main plot, obviously, is Lestat is approached by this human man who claims he can switch bodies. He can like astral project himself out of his body into another body, and he can prove that he's done this through some like conversations and research Lestat has with his friend David in the Talamasca. They find out, yeah, this guy's legit, and he's dangerous. So they find out that he's real, that he legit has these powers. Talamasca has worked with him before. They find out that he is very dangerous. And even just through the first conversation Lestat is having with him, this guy, Raglan James, he's constantly calling himself a thief. And he relishes in it, kind of like how Lestat relishes in being a vampire. He just loves who he is and he's having fun with it. I can see why Lestat really liked this guy, but also Lestat, the guy is constantly calling himself a thief, loving how much he enjoys stealing things, and he constantly brags how everything he owns is taken from another person. Lestat, don't give this man your body. So they make a deal, because of course they do, because they make a deal where they'll switch bodies, they'll astral project, and Lestat will be in the human body for 2 nights and a day. A little bit more, I guess the 2 nights is more for Raglan, which doesn't really seem fair, but I don't think that matters. So they switch bodies. Things go horribly wrong for Lestat. I'll backtrack to that in a second. Things go horribly wrong for Lestat while he's human. He hates it. He absolutely hates it. He can't see right because he doesn't have his vampiric eyes, and like everything is dull and dark and shadowy, and he doesn't like it. He like trips over carpets because he can't walk right. It's hilarious. But after that horrible day and horrible couple of nights, Lestat is waiting for Raglan to come back in his own vampiric, blonde-haired, blue-eyed body. And, yeah, he doesn't. Raglan doesn't show back up. He's gone because, shocker, the guy's a thief. A body thief. So so this is more like a small rant, not so much a review, but Lestat has had the worst time in that one day and night. Daylight, totally great. Love the daylight. Everything else, absolutely sucked. Despite all the planning he actually did, the guy took everything. He had no money even for food, and he was getting hungry and annoyed, and he had to figure out how to pee. That was a little like gross, a little explicit, but also like, the guy's been dead for 200 years and he hasn't had to pee. Of course he's disgusted, but it's funny. He also gets a cold. He gets sick on his first day being human again. Lestat, this is not working out for you, buddy. And there are two things that I want to call out, calm me down from like the excitement a little bit, call out that Lestat does, which is not okay. Because in this first night of being human, Lestat meets this very nice waitress. She's nice to him. She's like, hey, this guy's probably like homeless, probably hungry. I'll get him a meal. This waitress is very kind to him. And at some point, I'll admit, I think she jumped the gun a little bit, inviting this guy home. I wouldn't have invited the guy home, but Lestat still is in the wrong here. He takes it way too far because he's not used to being human and he loses control of, he's not used to being aroused. So yeah, things get uncomfortable for a few pages, a quick second, and it's just not comfortable. Lestat immediately feels guilty. He does feel bad. He knows what he's done, but that's still not okay. And just as a writer myself, as like an editor for other people's writings too, like that scene could have gone a myriad of different ways where you can still kind of have like a similar end result, but without the exact action that makes it a little uncomfortable. And I do think that Rice just wanted the contrast with Gretchen later on because things go great with Gretchen. But it didn't need to go that far. Maybe like Lestat hasn't done any of this for 200 years. Maybe he got a little freaked out. Maybe he just kind of got a little like grossed out for a second. And I will admit in regards to intimacy, maybe he just got a little grossed out and maybe he didn't reach that satisfaction and it just wasn't great. Do you want to hop up? Because I got this bed here. Anyway, that's like the biggest gripe that I have. It could have been written differently to not completely villainize and demonize a character that we enjoy, that we love. So that's my biggest, I guess, complaint. But there's one more too with David later on. So back to the fun stuff. And speaking of David and Lestat in this human body, they team up to go find his vampiric body that Raglan has. And they do it. They succeed. I won't really explain how, but they succeed and everything seems to go great. Keyword, seems to go great, because later on, David finds Lestat again after a couple of days. They kind of reunite, kind of talk about what the hell just happened. And turns out, yeah, no, things didn't go well. Because this is David's body that he's talking to, but it's Raglan inside it. Raglan stole David's body. We don't know where David is. And Raglan almost tricks Lestat, convinces him to turn him into a vampire, to turn David into a vampire. Again, Lestat, you're constantly noticing that David seems off. That he's not even enjoying his same alcoholic drink that he always kind of enjoyed. That he didn't quite seem to even, like, remember it. Lestat. But this is also a little dumb on Raglan's point, too. Because, like, he's been in a vampire's body now. He knows that, like, when you drink blood, you kind of get a sense of the person through their blood. Lestat knew it was Raglan the moment he started drinking it. Like, Raglan, he knew he was gonna find out. So Lestat kills David's body with Raglan inside it in like a rage. That was dramatic. That was fun. And like, sure, it was maybe like obvious to the reader that it wasn't David in there, but also like we've kind of established even from the beginning that Lestat isn't the smartest, at least in this book. Other quick side note, I just realized. You might hear a funny like ball whirring. I don't know if you can hear it, but there's a toy of a ball track with the cats are playing with it, sorry. Next time I'll move it, but I'm on a roll here, so you're gonna hear the thing now and then. Anyway, so David has killed Lestat's body with Raglan in it. Raglan is dead now. That's okay. And Lestat and actual David reunite with David in with the new human body. And my next gripe, I'm totally fine with David ending up in this younger body. It's really fascinating. It's definitely a new perspective for him. And the entire time through the story in both bodies, in like his older form when he's like almost 80, and this younger form now, David is constantly refusing Lestat's offer to become a vampire. And yet, at the end here, Lestat forcibly turns David into a vampire. And David is begging him to not do this. Now, the one thing I will say is that a vampire is gonna vampire, and Lestat isn't a good guy, and he knows this. He also kind of like there's a weird duality to Lestat. And like, sure, it's dramatic for the story to turn David into a vampire. That's a fun turn of events. But I just wish David had held on to his anger at Lestat. But then there was this mentality that David, he wasn't thankful, I guess, but like he secretly was. How Lestat forcing this on him allowed him to keep his dignity and pride by not giving in to what he secretly wanted. That's also a little uncomfortable and similar, don't you think? Like, sure, if you wanted that scene to carry out as it does, sure, but let David still be angry at Lestat. Let him call him out on his crap. And maybe not even forgive him for, like, several books down the line. Switching gears for a second, back to the fun stuff again, Lestat gets a dog! His name is Mojo, and he is the biggest good boy. I'll admit, I'm not entirely sure what Mojo is supposed to, like, represent. I don't think he's just kind of like this new type of companion, and, like, he doesn't turn the dog into a vampire dog. We don't get, like, a Cujo situation, which could have been interesting, but I think you would have had to absolutely, like, put down a vampire dog. Yeah, that Mojo would not really be okay as a vampire, but Mojo was the biggest, he was the goodest boy. He's also described as, like, the size of a pony. That's why I keep saying the biggest good boy. Apparently he's just huge. So there were a lot of peaks and valleys to this story, and as much as I complained about those two elements, I did overall enjoy it. Lestat using this experience to kind of reinvigorate his love for his own vampiric life. I'm also realizing the connection now towards, like, Jack Skellington the Pumpkin King. He wasn't happy being the Pumpkin King for a while, but he had to go off and experiment with something new with Christmas, and then realizing, no, he actually is, like, happy with the Halloween stuff. There's a similarity there. Also, Ghost Claudia stalking him, like, the entire time. Louis's whole perspective when he meets human Lestat. And Marius's quick just stare at human Lestat of like, what the f are you doing? And just leaves. That's the kind of calling out anger that I wish David had later on. There's a whole boat cruise setting at the climax just because that was fun. And Gretchen was fascinating. I didn't even really mention her at all, but her whole perspective was definitely interesting to learn about, contrasted with like Lestat's point of view, even like David's a little bit too, but she's definitely representing that he cannot have both lives. He can't have his cake and eat it too. It's one or the other. It's human or vampire. You can't have both. So yeah, overall, I did have a good time with this. I hated those uncomfortable moments. They could have been written differently. Like that poor waitress doesn't even get a name. She doesn't even get a name. Gretchen gets a name. The waitress doesn't. So yeah, a lot of peaks and valleys. So the next one, I don't know if it's gonna be like the next video at the moment, but I know the next book in this series anyway is Memnosh the Devil. It's a funny name, but the devil one. I don't know how much fun I'm gonna have with that one, because I remember most of it, and I also kind of remember being like slightly bored. Then again, I read it like 15 years ago, so I have a different mentality now. So we'll see how that goes, and we will see if we finish the Vampire Chronicles this year. I don't know if I will. I might. I'm pretty sure it's like more than a book a month now, because it's August. So you know what, now I'm actually kind of in the mood to watch either the 90s Interview with the Vampire movie or the AMC TV show, which I did enjoy. There were some things you can call out in there too, but overall, I do enjoy both of them. I'm feeling vampiric now. I want to go watch more. So anyway, I'm going to sign off. I kind of generally hate outros, so if you want to like and subscribe, go right ahead. I won't complain. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye!